Welcome to Evolution on the Mic. I am your host, Ariana de la Cruz.
And I'm your co-host, Antoine Dove.
And we are back, season 7, Faith in Yourself, episode 3. God did not make you to play small. In our last episode, y'all, we discussed what it truly means to have faith in yourself, even when parts of us have forgotten our worth. We spoke about how rejection, failure, abandonment, our moments of comparison can fracture our self-belief without us even realizing it. And we also discussed how to heal from them. So if you guys missed that episode, I highly recommend that you go back and watch it. We definitely discussed a lot about healing from our old wounds, from our old belief systems, from our childhood trauma, so that we can emerge and become and do the things that God has called us to do. So definitely check it out. On today's episode, though, we're going to be talking about something that so many of us wrestle with, and often in silence, playing small, holding back, dimming our light to make others comfortable, shrinking ourselves just to fit in, and suppressing our gifts out of fear of what others might think or say about us. Today is about breaking the agreement with fear, doubt, and self-rejection, and boldly walking into what God says you are, what God has called you for, what God is asking you to do. But before we get into all this juicy stuff, Antoine, how are you? How you been?
I'm great, Ari. I'm
You
great.
good?
I am.
What's
I'm
been
so
going
good.
on with you though? Like what's shaking? What's cracking? What's been going on? What you been up to?
Yeah, right now I'm getting ready for the summer months coming ahead. So my daughter, every summer she comes to live with me from LA, and so
Nice.
when she comes here, we always have activities planned and things going on that we're getting prepared for. And so last year, and this is more of a testament, God continuing to provide. It's like last year, I wasn't in a position to be able to put her into camps and programs, and so that
Mm,
was tough for me. God was taking me through a journey, and I was really rebuilding some things that I needed to rebuild in my personal life, both financially and just where in my spiritual walk with God. But this year, God has really helped me to start, being more diligent, being more disciplined with a lot of things in my life. And so one of my prayers was that I want to be able to put my daughter into some summer camp programs this year. And so I was able to. And so I found a few summer camp programs here in the Fuquay
nice.
area that I could get her into. And so she was really excited about them. Some of them are really unique, like fun, untraditional camp programs that most kids, you don't really get. Like you have the traditional ones where you like go outside, you play tennis, you play kickball, those
Yeah.
type of things. These were more themed programs based off of stuff she likes, like Minecraft and
Oh,
some of
cool.
the STEM activities around like architecture and engineering and science and math and things. So she's super excited. So I'm ready for her to come, and I've just been spending a lot of my time just being prepared for that. Like, what does that look like when she comes? Activities for us, keeping her busy during the summer. So, it's my big thing has just been I've not always been a huge or been great at being consistent with planning and preparation. And
Mm.
that's one of the things that God has been working with me on is like, when things are coming, you need to be prepared. You need
Where do
to
you think
work the
that
things.
stems from? The
Oh,
fact that you're aware of it, right? Because you just said it.
I'm very
Where do you
aware of
think
it.
that stems from? That like preparing and like having things done in advance, and where do you think that stems from? Because I have heard of this
Yeah.
before from you, so I'm just just
Yeah,
wondering.
I love that you asked that question. Yeah, I think a lot of it stems from me just um I think part of me subconsciously I like the challenge of knowing like I have to hurry up and get something done. Like I think there's like a subconscious part of me that likes that. But also I think I am unsure. I think I'll spend a lot of time capitulating on something and thinking about something and thinking before actually taking an action as opposed to just getting it done. And I think a lot of that stems from, if I'm going even deeper, is the fear of not wanting to mess up. Like I don't want to do something and screw it up. And so I'll ask myself multiple questions, look at it from multiple different angles, overanalyze in the hopes that if I overanalyze, then I've got everything covered and I
Mm,
won't screw up. But the reality, and as I'm learning what God's been working on me on, is that you have to trust what is there and move forward and take action on whatever you have. And what's going to be is going to be. If you screw up, you screw up. It's not the end of the world. Like as we said
yeah.
before, it's like it's not rocket science. It's not like you're building a space shuttle that's going to take people to the moon. Like this is just some basic stuff. Like hey, you know, take action. She's coming. You know what it's going to
Yeah.
require. Do some research. Figure out what it's going
Yeah.
to cost And if you need to start setting back a little bit of extra money to make sure it's covered, then make sure you do that. And is it sacrifice? Is it hard? Yeah. Could you potentially do that and still some catastrophic thing comes up that you end up having to
Yeah.
liquidate your
Yeah.
savings? Yeah. But at least take the step, like at least freaking
Yeah.
try, like do something. And I think it's that action step that has hung me up because I didn't want to get things wrong. Like I wanted to
Mm.
always be right or have it all figured out. And what I'm learning is I'm never going to have it all figured out. Like the most
Yeah.
I can do is just, take what I have now and make the best of it. But
Yeah,
great
well,
question.
I'm definitely proud of you for taking the action steps now because you know that she's coming, right? You know
Yeah.
that you know what happened last year when she came, and you didn't plan some things, or maybe there was
Hmm.
some financial burdens, but you didn't put the time that it needed last year. And
Hmm.
this year you're like, well, she's coming, and I want to make sure that we're able to do certain things, that she's able to do certain things, that she's able to enjoy certain things, and not
Hmm.
just us here and you working and the day-to-day things. Like, you want her to enjoy, it's her summer as well, you know what I mean? She
Right.
deserves to have fun and learn new things and meet friends and be
Right.
involved, right? As a kid. So I'm very proud of you for starting to plan in advance, because
Thank you.
in getting to know you a bit, I've seen that
Yeah.
you tend to play it close to the fire. You tend to play it right when it has to get done. You wait till the last minute to
Yeah.
start for doing things. But a lot of us are like that. I know this has nothing to do with our episode, but I know a lot of us are in that situation where we procrastinate, and for some of us we work better under pressure. So
Right.
when we procrastinate, it's because we don't have time to second guess. We don't have time to second think. Think is about, I have to do because I done wasted last minute. So it takes away a lot of the going back and forth. Did I make the right
Right.
decision? Should I have done something better? Breaking your head thinking about 10 scenarios, right? When you wait till last minute, it's about, it got to get done. And you're just,
Right.
running to do it. But then there's some of us that cannot procrastinate. We get anxiety,
Hmm.
like for me, I am in that boat where I can't procrastinate in certain things, but for the most part, if you put something on my plate that has to get done and you give me a deadline, I'm the person that I can't sleep at night if I'm thinking about what I got to do. I just want to get it done, right? I'm the
Yeah.
person that I like to check things off my to-do list, even if it's way in advance. However, being that way has its downfalls too, because I'm in anxiety looking at a to-do list. There's 20 things on it, and I'm trying to get 20 of them done within a short time
In
frame,
one
stressing
day.
my own self out. I'm stressing my own self out because it's like, girl, you got 20 things on your to-do list, but you have 20 days to get them done. Just do one a day. You'll be fine. No, I have 20 days, but I'm like, I have to ram as much as I can. And so it's like, you know what I mean? Being either way, you just have to have balance, right?
Yes.
And you have to find your own groove,
Right.
but it's a matter of understanding what has to get done, putting it in a good timeline, and executing on it, right?
Yeah.
Understanding that you're not gonna forget, because some people think, well, I might forget if I don't do it right away, or maybe more things might pile up on me if I don't do it right away.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, well, even if at the end, if I've done all this and something happens where I gotta spend more money, I will figure it out then. It's not gonna
Right.
stop you from at least trying to figure things out, because the reality is, she's coming. So
Yeah.
anyway, a
No,
little tangent there
I
about
love
that.
that. Well, what I will say on that, and I know we get to the episode, is that what I did
Yeah.
find that was interesting about this was I'd signed her up for this one camp and I got on the wait list. And when I was on the wait list for the camp,
Mm-hmm.
I reached out to the program, like the camp program, to say, like, hey, what's up? I saw she's on this wait list. Can you tell me what number she is on the wait list? So the guy told me, and as I'm talking to him, I said, are there any other programs that you guys offer? And he said, actually, we do. And there's some programs that are coming out right now that we haven't listed yet, that if you want to, you can go ahead and sign up for these now and take advantage of before they release it to the public. And the reason I bring
Mm,
that up is because, to your point, we can go either way. But what my lesson in this has been is that by taking action steps early, you can usually get details or additional information that might help you further your experience or do something faster or do it more efficiently versus waiting to the last minute. Because had I waited to the last minute, likely that other program would have filled up as well. And then I'd been in the same boat. But because I was working on it now, I was able to get some additional information that allowed me to take action on some things quicker than had I waited.
exactly.
And so, like,
Exactly.
like you said, there's benefits to both. But what I've learned is that it's better just to go ahead and get started on something and do as much research as you can And if
Yep.
it comes up to last minute stuff, okay, that's fine. But don't wait to get all the details
Yeah,
until right before.
everything. Yeah, that's no. You
That's the
definitely
worst.
want to be diligent in your task and what you have to get done, but it's also not overwhelming yourself where you are, purposely, not sleeping at night, or you're
Right.
purposely working till 10 o'clock at night. Like,
Yep.
you know what I mean? Don't
Yep. Don't do
go
that.
too deep into that in that world either, trying to knock it all off. You know what I mean?
Right.
We just gotta trust the process and know that we're doing the best that we can every given day and being responsible, right?
Right. Yep. How's things
So
going with you though, Ari? What's going on? How's Costa Rica these days?
I'm feeling a lot better than I have been. You know what I
Good.
mean? Like I mentioned before, still going to church every Sunday and just feeling like I'm becoming a little more clear as to why God has me here, and just really surrendering to that, surrendering more to my physical being in that aspect, and just, I don't have to see it to believe it. I don't have to see exactly why God has me here for me to know that it's for a beautiful reason. So I'm choosing to stay in alignment and in the beautiful vibes that of why I'm here, and knowing that eventually I will see it all and it all will click, and I'll be sharing every detail of my life here with all of you guys to see like exactly what God is doing day to day. But I'm feeling much better about it. I actually reconnected with my therapist. I haven't spoken to my therapist, with my move and everything. I kind of just been still in the settling in phase.
Mm-hmm.
So I, booked a session with her, and I'm just, excited to get back into, my own continuous healing journey, and getting out of my own way and reconnecting with myself in a higher way, reconnecting with God in a higher way, taking bold action in the things, in the other things that God wants from me, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
yes, I'm on the right track in certain things, but there's still more that I want,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I'm not standing in my own way with anything that God is asking from me, where I might tell myself, well, I'm too overwhelmed, that God, this is too much. That's all me, my own human self getting in. So I think therapy really does help me a lot to get out of my own physical being and just make decisions and do things in my spiritual being self, which isn't scared, doesn't really question, it just does and figures it out and leans on God and all of that. So yeah, I mean, we definitely gotta, help ourselves. God will help us, but we gotta help ourselves too. So, for me,
Yes.
as I've been mentioning, for me, that's therapy, and talking it all out, all my stuff. So overall, I'm doing good. I'm feeling much better,
I
and I'm
love it.
excited, you
I'm
know.
seeing that. I'm seeing that Costa Rica glow on you. That pure vida is coming through.
Pura vida. Yep. No, for sure. That's just, where I'm at. And of course, the podcast helps a lot too. As we always mentioned, the podcast is just as helpful for me as it is, for everyone watching, because, a lot of the times I'm talking to myself, a lot of
Yeah.
the times it's God talking even to me through me,
Right.
you know, for myself and for everybody that's watching. So it's just a beautiful journey in totality, specifically with this season, faith in yourself. We started this season in the when the season started, I was here in Costa Rica, and I knew that God, wanted the season to start here and not start in Florida, because a lot of the faith in myself, I'm being tested
Right.
on me while
Yeah.
being here. Trusting myself, trusting my judgments, trusting my decisions, trusting that I made right decisions, trusting God's plan, and um
Yep.
all of it, right? It's interesting. So I'm very
Definitely.
grateful.
No, sorry.
I'm
Go ahead.
definitely grateful, for everything that has been transpired in my life, the good, bad, and the ugly. Because I feel like it's really molding me. I feel like it's really molding me to really become that person that, God wants me to be.
Yeah, I see it. I mean, I think going with this episode, I think it's
Yeah.
fair to say that you don't play small in anything that you do. And so I think,
Oh my
for
God,
this
so don't make me laugh.
for this episode, I'll probably do most of the talking because I think this is where I've struggled at certain parts of my life. And I say that jokingly, but also, acknowledging the fact that I think we all have gone through our journeys where we've played small, or we've downplayed ourselves, or we silenced our voice, or we've silenced our ideas. And that could be something as simple as just sitting in a business meeting. Like if you are working a 9 to 5 and maybe you've been invited to be in the room that typically you don't get invited to be in, and you have an idea, you have something you want to say, and not saying it, because you're like, I don't want to look dumb, or I don't look like I don't know what I'm talking about. And it's understanding that you were in that room for a purpose. God opened that door for a purpose. And
Mm-hmm.
if you feel a connection in your spirit with God that's saying, this is your time to speak, speak. And don't silence your voice. Don't take that step back and make yourself small for the fear of what man may see, because there's something happening at the spiritual level that's even greater than all of us can see. And what you do
Yep.
in that moment dictates what that future will look like for you. And I think that is probably the biggest thing in this episode that we'll be talking about, is understanding, unlocking that ability to speak out, unlocking that ability within yourself to own who you are, understanding you are a child of God, and that the faith that you have in yourself by way of God, by all sense, like the faith that you have that's a result of knowing you're a child of God, is what unlocks those opportunities and allows you to step boldly into who you're supposed to be. And so it brings up a question, and I'll pose this question to everyone that is listening.
Mm-hmm.
What gifts are you sitting on that God has called you to activate? What gifts in your life, you know that you have this, you know you have a gift, a talent, whatever it may be, that to this day, in this moment, you're still sitting on and you haven't activated it?
Well,
What are those? What are those?
wow.
Because I think that's
Wow.
the place where we want to start. Like that's where you want to start when you think about playing small. Like that's an area that you already know, you've acknowledged within yourself. Hey, this is something I'm really great at. Hey, I'm really great at manufactured spending. Wink, wink, Ariana. I'm really great at helping people get business funding. Wink, wink, Ariana. Like all those were talents and gifts that God brought out of you. You realize that there was certain tools and resources and things that you did personally in your life that made you great at those, and you took that and learned and you turned it into a business. How many people were probably in that same boat who did not take that action because they was like, I don't want to look dumb, I don't want to mess up, I don't want somebody to lose their faith in me. And the reality is that you are in a position because of your backing with God, because you are a child of God, in which you can take those steps boldly, and it's important for you to do that. Is any of that resonating with you, Ariana?
Yeah, as you asked that question, it's so crazy how the first thing that came to me, what gift have I not activated that I'm sitting on? For me, I've always known that I I like to talk and I like to communicate. And I like to think that I communicate in a way that resonates well with people when I'm explaining things,
Mm-hmm.
when I'm telling a story. I feel like I have a good way of reeling people in. Like, I want to hear
Mm-hmm.
more. I want to hear more. Like, I can't wait to get to that bang moment of her story because I know it's coming. I know it's coming. Like, I have a good way of with my words. And doing the podcast has helped me, yes, to harness my voice and my speaking and to adjust it and to get better and practice.
Mm-hmm.
Great. But I've always had a dream of writing books, of writing self-help books. And you
Okay.
know how I mentioned getting my master's degree in the last episode, I spoke about how I was very scared of writing, 10, 20 page papers. It was a
Yeah.
struggle for me, and I had to get a tutor and all of that. So there's something in the writing for me that there's a blockage. There's something in there that I haven't really activated, you know? And I actually paid for a mentorship years ago. This was probably like in 2016. Almost 10 years ago. I paid for a mentorship. I paid like $2,500. And it was, it helps you write and publish and self-publish a book in 90 days. Because
Wow.
again, I've been wanting to write self-help books. I want to be, an author of self-help books, and I want them, to be number one bestsellers. And I want those books to turn into speaking engagements where I'm on
Mm-hmm.
stages and I'm speaking about all those concepts and theories and teachings that lie in those books that through God, I was able to write them. I haven't fully started. I started that mentorship and I got scared. I was like, this is too much. Like, again, this was even before it was in my master's program. So can you imagine? You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I got into it fired up. I was fired up. Oh, this book is gonna this mentorship is gonna help me write my book and publish it in 90 days. I'm gonna do everything. I'm gonna do all the steps. I got into a few steps and then I got lost. And then I felt dumb. And then I felt like, wow, other people are able to get through the certain phases and the steps of writing a book. And how to brainstorm and do all this. And I just felt stupid. I felt like I'm never going to get it. I'm never going to fully cultivate my words and my story and condense it in a book. I don't think that I'm capable. And then I did one of the homeworks that it required. It said get a big board, like a big white board, and get different color pencils, and to start brainstorming like your life story, whatever it is that you want to talk about. For me, it was my life story. You know what I mean? From being, very promiscuous, dropping out of high school, being a hot mess as a teenager, being an alcoholic and all of that, to someone that, is educated, got degrees and all of that. So that was the whole premise, but I created that, like what is it called? The mind mapping. Yeah, it was like the storyboard, like mind mapping, everything. I completed it, and it looked like a little kid did it. Like I still have it. I might post a picture so you guys can really see it, because I have a picture with me that I took with me in it. So I might just post a picture here so you guys can see I'm not playing around. So I created it. I got into a relationship with this person, and I was vulnerable, and I was like, hey, I'm trying to write a book. I created this mind mapping for my book and all the ideas. Look at it. They laughed. Like, ha! Like laughed. It was funny. This 3-year-old did it. I felt like total crap. Like everything that I was feeling within myself was affirmed with the ha 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 ha. This looks like, what is this? This looks like child's play. Meanwhile, it was all my traumas. It was my pain, my struggles, the good, the bad, and the ugly, all in this whiteboard, and it got laughed at. So, I still have that whiteboard. I haven't thrown it out. I still have it, but I haven't taken much action. I tried to get a refund from that mentorship. They said, no, you have to at least try for 6 months to do something before we give you your money back. You have to show proof that you've tried. And I hadn't really tried. So I had no facts to get a refund. At that time, $2,500 was a lot of money. I was probably making that a month. You know what I'm saying? So like, it was a big investment at the time for me. I didn't have it like that, and I had a lot of debt. So that for me is what I'm sitting on. That's what I haven't fully activated, using my words and using my story in written form, and and putting all of that in a condensed format in a book so that I can publish and help people get inspired, right, through my story. That is what I haven't done.
I love that you shared that. Because one, I know that you're going to overcome that. And I'm going to speak that on this podcast.
Thank you.
In full confidence and faith that God has called you, and the voice that you have is a voice that will transcend all mediums, not just on audio podcast platforms. It will be on TV shows. It would be on television. It will be in books. It will be in magazines. It will be everywhere, because God has called you for something great. And I know that because you brought this podcast forward as listening to what God was putting on your spirit. And I know that what we're doing on this podcast is going to be something that will transcend generations. It will change lives. It will make an impact in the world, just as God told you he did whenever you started way, way back when as a teenager. So I'm claiming that today for you. And I'm believing that that will come. And I can't wait to buy the first copy when it does get released. On another note, while we're on that topic, what you just shared actually brought up a lot of the things that are really important for us all to understand as we go through our journey of playing small, and something being that's stopping us from moving forward. And so I want to recap for those that, getting caught up. Ariana's wanted to write a book. She invested the money into the book. The first thing she said was, once she created her vision and she created the vision board, and as she's sitting in the class and she's going through this, the first thing she said was, I got lost. And then she said, after I got lost, then I felt dumb. And then after I felt dumb, I thought, I'm never going to get it. Some of the 3 steps that tends to happen, or 3 things that tend to happen with all of us as we're going through this playing small. Or why do we play small? Why do we create this kind of shrinking ourselves? The first thing starts with just what I say is simple stuff like programming, like who we are as a child. Like, we're taught to be silent. We're taught not to speak out. We're taught, if we don't know something, either you figure it out yourself or don't say anything, because we don't want to look dumb. We don't want to look like we don't know what's going on. And I'm not saying in that moment you didn't speak out because you felt you were dumb. in that moment, maybe you were just trying to figure it out on yourself and you was trying to say, hey, how do I get this? But you were lost. And that's an opportunity for us to raise our hand and say, look, I need some help. But there's something inside of us, there's a fear within inside of us that won't let us raise our hand and say, hey, I
Yep.
need help. And that's, again, this doesn't apply just to what we're talking about in
It's
terms of
easier
writing
to
a
give
book.
up.
It's
It's
easy to
easier
give
to
up.
give up than ask for
Why
help
not? Why not?
when the seed of I'm not good enough is big.
Big.
It's easier to just I'm out.
Yep. Yep. And what's crazy is that seed is not as big as we think it is, but it does grow. Like we're watering it with negativity, which is what makes it grow even bigger. So you go from I'm lost to then I felt I'm dumb. And the dumb moment that you said you felt was because you looked everyone around you, you started to compare yourself, which all of us are
Yeah.
guilty of that. I'm going to start
Yep.
comparing myself to people around me. I'm lost. Is anyone else lost? Am I the only one that's lost? Oh, he looks like he knows what he's doing. Oh, look at her board. Her board's nice, right? We're
Yep.
looking around, we're
Yep.
comparing ourselves. We see, okay, well, what I'm doing doesn't translate to what they're doing. What they're doing looks more according to what the professor's saying. So I must be doing something wrong. And then the last part we do once we've seen that is we start to self-sabotage. We go into that moment of, I'm not enough. I'm never going to get this. What am I doing? This is such a waste of time. And then we shrink ourselves. And
Shrink.
it's one of those things that as we do it more and more times, it starts to become a habit. And then we create, once you've created, if anyone's read Charles Durer's book, The Power of Habits, once you start to get on that habit, that circle, that wheel, it's hard to break it. It's not easy to just get off that hamster wheel of a habit of this is what I've experienced. This is what I know. These are these experiences that I go through. And this is how I know it's always supposed to work. If I don't get it, I need to quit because it's easy to quit.
Yep.
Or I'm going to keep going, but man, I can't relate to these people. I'm not like them. They're different from me. But I'm here to tell you guys that everyone that is listening to this podcast, that your journey is not meant to be someone else's journey. What you're going through, your board is not supposed to look like anyone else's board. The person that laughed at Ariana's board is because that was not their vision. That was the vision that God gave to Ariana. And so that person didn't get it, and it wasn't meant for them to get it because it wasn't meant for them. That vision was for Ariana to write her book.
Yeah.
And when she writes her book using that same board, that person will be like, wow, this was a great book. But you know, that was the same book that you laughed at whenever I showed you my board because you didn't see the final product.
Yeah.
And like that is one of the things that is a true detriment to us playing small, is that sometimes we get so much into our head about what's happening or what we believe is going to happen. Like we haven't even allowed it to mature. We haven't allowed the seed to grow. We haven't allowed it to really manifest into what God has told us. And we allow all outside influences to then impact our faith that we have in ourselves to achieve what God has called us to do. And we all need to take that moment to take a step back when we're feeling that, when we're starting to go down that path. Anytime we start to have that doubt, and do a quick check. Go back to, like we just said in our last episode that we just talked about understanding who you are, your identity. I'm a child of God. Getting into those scriptures, understanding what has God told me in the Bible about who I am as a child of God. Reaffirming those things to help you start to build your identity. And to me, like that was what I heard from your story, Ariana, as you were talking. I was like, man, like everything you just said and your experience, and we didn't plan that, right? You just talked about your own personal experience.
Yeah,
I'm
it
sitting
just
thinking
came
like,
to me
wow,
right
like
when you asked. Like I
this is
wasn't even,
exactly how it works
yeah.
out. And so, you know, I
Yeah.
want all of us to remember, and that, you know, some of us have really gotten into this pattern of shrinking ourselves. Like it's become our default system. When things get hard, we shrink. Whenever we're unsure of something, we shrink. Whenever we feel like everyone else has eyes on us and we're the odd man out, we shrink. But what would happen if, whenever you don't know something, you grew? Whenever you don't know something and everyone's looking at and all's eyes on you, you grew? What happens if you stepped into your purpose and with every time you allowed your wings to open up and expand, people saw something in you that opened up other doorways? All of that's possible if we don't downplay our ideas, if we're not softening our dreams, if we're not avoiding the spotlight, if we're not waiting for someone to give us permission to step into what God has already called us to do. You don't need anybody's permission to step into what God has called you to do. God's called you to do it. It's your purpose. It's why you're here. Stop waiting on someone else to affirm what you already know God has told you to do. Now's
Just
the
do it.
time. Just
Just do it. Just do it. Even if it looks ugly, even if it sounds ugly, even if it don't make sense. Like my board looked like, yeah, a 5-year-old did it. Okay. The information in it was amazing. Doesn't matter how it looked, right? I
yes.
shared it with the wrong person, maybe. You know what I mean? It's definitely halted me in my tracks to think that I can go back and continue the program because it's a lifetime program. I can go back right now to that because it was a lifetime. So it don't matter how it looks in the beginning. It's gonna start ugly. It's gonna start weird. It's gonna start where you're like, what am I saying? What am I doing? Like, am I even on the right path? But God just wants us to be obedient.
Mm.
God just wants us to continue in that path. He wants us every day to do something that is going to enhance our skill set. That every day we're doing our best, we're trying because you don't fail because it didn't work out the first time. You fail when you stop. You're going to try and you're going to like, this doesn't really make sense. This doesn't look right. And that's okay. Stay in it, figure it out. That's when you start, okay, I tried this. I said that. Damn, that was kind of wrong. Next time, what can I do better? Okay, I did this board. This board didn't look like everybody else's, but the information is good. Let me extract the information I need to get to the next step. And not, this doesn't look right. This board is like a 3-year-old did it. So that means my mindset is like a 3-year-old. So I'm like, I'm not smart enough. No, that was the best that you could do. God just wants the information extracted so that you can go to the next step. So don't let your first step stop you from taking the next step just because the first step you messed up, or maybe you tumbled over your words. Maybe the first draft is messy. Maybe the first time it's like somebody else did it better on their first time. Good for them. Clap for them. You did it the first time and you got it. Good for you. I didn't get it to my 10th time, but at least I got it. I didn't stop. I figured it out. I kept practicing, right? I kept believing in myself. I worked on my past traumas. I worked on my self-doubt. I worked on my unworthiness. I've worked on my childhood trauma. I've worked on all of that. I've healed. That now I don't need things to work out first day, first time I try. It could be the 10th time and it's like, whew, I got it then. Hallelujah, finally got it. But I didn't stop on that first, second, or third try. Even if it doesn't look right, even if it looks messy, even if you're tumbling over your words, whatever it is for you that you're trying to do, that it's hard, it's going to be hard. It's going to be messy. It's not going to be perfect. And that shouldn't stop you from continuing. And I'm speaking to myself because I was honest, right? I haven't really activated my book. I haven't activated that. I haven't activated my skill set of feeling confident in writing out my thoughts and laying it out in a way that is going to make sense for the mass. I haven't done that. So my job now, right, I'm going to use myself as an example, is to go back and identify what is causing me to stop in my tracks to not write my book. What is it that when I'm thinking about going to take out a notebook with a pen to start writing, what is it that gives me excuses? Where are these excuses coming from? What is the barrier here? What is causing me to shrink? What is it? I need to find that out for me, right? Again, maybe journaling, praying, getting silent with myself to really figure out what is causing this blockage and pour love onto that blockage. Give myself reassurance, give myself love and grace that I can do it. And start writing that first sentence. You'll find that once you start, like whatever it is for you, for me, it's writing. Maybe for you, it's more vocal, you know what I mean? Like Antoine was saying, speaking up in a meeting, speaking up, to your family, speaking up to your spouse, just using your words. It could be drawing, writing music, whatever it is for you that you're trying to do. I want you to know that you were created with a purpose and for a purpose. So all these things that God has asked you to do, that God has called you to do, that God has called you to step up and do and be and write that book, speak up, in a meeting, whatever it is that it is for you, all of that has a purpose. And that is your purpose. You were created for that. That is part of your gifts, your talents that God had designed for you.